Good morning, students! I am glad that you are viewing this video at the moment. Stay tuned and learn Mathematics 9. Don't worry and be happy because here is Teacher Debbie who will make your math journey exciting and easy. The question is, are you ready? So let's take it away. In this video, I will discuss about quadrilaterals that are parallelograms. Here are the things that you will learn after watching this video. So at the end of the session, you are expected to first, understand the properties of parallelograms. Second, determine the conditions that guarantee a quadrilateral a parallelogram. And lastly, use properties to find the measure of angles, sides, and other quantities involving parallelograms. Look around your surroundings. What are the quadrilaterals that you see? In your past math lessons in geometry, you learned that quadrilaterals comes from two Latin words quadri and lateral. Quadri, which means four, and lateral, which means sides. Therefore, quadrilaterals are closed plane figures having four sides. Now that you already know what quadrilaterals are, what are the quadrilateral objects that you can see in your place? Rectangular face masks are everywhere. Everyone wear it to prevent from COVID-19 and to abide to the health protocols implemented by the government. Some are wearing square handkerchiefs. Some of the workers are advised to work from home. Like me, at the moment I am sitting on a bench which look like a parallelogram, wherein I can see a rhombus-like wall divider, wherein I can view the rectangular cover of my books, and a vase whose shape is like a trapezoid is placed nearby. Quadrilaterals are everywhere. Isn't it amazing, right? We can even see quadrilaterals in a camp. So let us sing the song by Number Rack, which is entitled Quadrilaterals.
Parallelograms have two sets of parallel lines. Trapezoids only have one set at a time. A rectangle has four right angles. A rhombus has four sides that are equal. Squares have four equal sides and four right angles. Quadrilaterals have four sides and four angles. Parallelograms, rhombuses, trapezoids, squares and rectangles. And if you add the angles inside each of these, there will be 360 degrees. Parallelograms have two sets of parallel lines. Trapezoids only have one set at a time. A rectangle has four right angles. A rhombus has four sides that are equal. Squares have four equal sides and four right angles. Quadrilaterals have four sides and four angles. Parallelograms, rhombuses, trapezoids, squares and rectangles. And if you add the angles inside each of these, there will be 360 degrees.
Always remember that a quadrilateral has four angles and four sides. After viewing the video, we are refreshed of the different types of quadrilateral. So ngayon, we will know how to identify when can we consider a quadrilateral as a parallelogram. So, simulan natin sa tanong na kung ano nga ba ang parallelogram. So, a parallelogram is a quadrilateral that has two pairs of parallel sides. So, sa tingin ninyo, saan galing ang word na parallelogram? So, it is taken from the word parallel. So, magbalik tanaw tayo kung ano yung tinatawag na parallel lines. lines are lines in a plane which do not meet. Two straight lines that do not intersect. Parallel lines are lines that never meet. So if we were going to extend line A and line B to both directions or to any directions, etong mga line na to ay hindi magtatagpo kailanman. O parang yung ibang tao lang, may mga taong kailanman ay hindi magtatagpo. Let's have an example showing that a parallelogram is a quadrilateral that has two pairs of parallel sides. Gamitin natin yung figure na nandito. So here we have parallelogram love. So how do we name a parallelogram? Nagpapangalan tayo ng parallelogram using big or capital letters, naming its vertices. So sa parallelogram, meron tayong apat na vertices. We have L, vertex O, vertex B, and vertex E. So for singular term, we have vertex, and for plural, we have vertices. So since we have four, a parallelogram has four vertices. We also name the sides of a parallelogram using two of its vertices. So let's start naming a parallelogram in using the upper side. We have side LO. So let's name it in clockwise manner. The second side is side OV and side VE and also side EL. Now let's identify the sides of the parallelogram which are parallel to each other. So we have the first pair, meron tayong side LO and side EV. So ang pangalawang pares, we have side OV and side LE. So those are the pairs of parallel sides in this parallelogram. And why can we consider that two sides are parallel? So we have here the symbol. We have a triangle here showing, this symbol shows that if you have this in a line, this is parallel to the opposite side of that line. So that's why we have side LO is parallel to side EV and side LE is parallel to side OV. Now, using the statement that a parallelogram is a quadrilateral with two pairs of parallel sides, let us identify which among the quadrilaterals mentioned in the song are parallelograms. So on the first column of this table, we have the quadrilaterals, parallelogram, rectangle, rhombus, square, and trapezoid. Of course, a parallelogram has two pairs of parallel sides. How about a rectangle? We know that a rectangle is a quadrilateral with two lengths and widths. So, as you can see, the lengths of this rectangle is parallel to each other and the same as to its widths. That's why we have two pairs of parallel sides. If we're going to extend the lengths of this rectangle, those will form parallel lines that will never meet and the same to its width. So, is a rectangle a parallelogram? Yes, it is a parallelogram. How about a rhombus? The same with the rectangle, a rhombus has four sides, and its horizontal sides of this rhombus are parallel to each other, the same to its slanted height. So, therefore, this rhombus also has two parallel sides, and it is also a parallelogram. How about a square? So, square is a quadrilateral with four congruent sides and four congruent angles. So, since a square has four congruent angles, therefore, the two opposite sides of this square are parallel to each other. Therefore, it has two pairs of parallel sides, which would make it as parallelogram. How about a trapezoid? Is a trapezoid a parallelogram? As you can see, the bases of this trapezoid is the only pair that makes a parallel line. So, how about its legs. If you will extend both of the legs of this trapezoid, it will make an isosceles triangle and it will meet at a certain point which is the apex of the triangle. Yung tuktok, kapag nag-meet sila, that is the point at which the two lines will meet. So therefore, the legs of this trapezoid are not parallel. So, kung mag-meet at certain point yung dalawang line, hindi sila parallel. So, since isa lang, a trapezoid is not a parallelogram. After using the table wherein we identify the number of pairs of parallel sides of quadrilaterals, we identify that rectangle, rhombus, and square are only the parallelograms. So, trapezoid is not a parallelogram since it only has one pair of parallel sides. Moreover, a trapezium is not also a parallelogram since no sides are parallel. So this time, we will know further what are the properties. So ano-ano nga ba yung katangian ng isang parallelogram aside from having two pairs of parallel sides. So let's have the first property of a parallelogram. So ano nga ba yung unang kondisyon para makonsider na ang isang quadrilateral ay isang parallelogram? So first, the opposite sides of a parallelogram are parallel to each other. So actually, ito na yung kaninang na-discuss natin, which is only taken from its meaning or definition. So second, we have in a parallelogram, any two opposite sides are congruent. So what do we mean by the word opposite? So, in a parallelogram, there are two opposite sides. Opposite means nasa kabilang banda. So, kung nandito ko ngayon sa kinalalagyan ko, kaharap kita. That is the opposite side. So, let's have the same figure. So, here we have the side LO. So, what side is opposite to LO? So, side EV is opposite to LO. And it is stated that if this is a parallelogram, we have parallelogram love. LO is congruent to EV. We make use of the word congruent if no exact measurement or numerical measurement is present. So instead of saying that LO is equal to VE, although they mean the same thing, parehas lang yan kasi congruent at equal. Parehas yung ibig sabihin. Mas ginagamit po natin yung word na congruent kapag walang eksaktong number or measurement maibinigay. So dito, paano ipinapakita na ang LO ay congruent sa side EV? So we have the so-called tick marks. So yung mas mahabang side, mas magre-receive ng maraming tick marks. So here, since LE is shorter than LO, LE has only one tick mark as to LO. So, LO is opposite to VE. So, LO is congruent to VE. So, what are the other opposite sides? Another pair, we have LE and OV. Therefore, LE, segment LE or side LE is congruent to side OV. In symbols, we have this one. So, the side is written like this. We have LO, segment LO. We use a horizontal line above the two letters to indicate that that is a side or a line segment. Then we have this congruence symbol. So, segment or side LO is congruent to side EV and side LE is congruent to side OV. So, let's have the third condition. In a parallelogram, any two opposite angles are congruent. So a while ago, we have opposite sides. This time, let's identify the opposite angles of parallelogram LOVE or parallelogram love. So as you can see, it is shown here that L and V are the opposite angles, the first pair of opposite angles, and the other pair is angle O and angle E. So, angle L is congruent to angle B, and angle O is congruent to angle E. Next, so the fourth condition is, in a parallelogram, any two consecutive angles are supplementary. Now, let us highlight the terms consecutive and supplementary. Kapag sinabi natin consecutive, sa Filipino, ang katumbas niyang salita ay kasunod. How about supplementary? So when we say supplementary, those are dealing with angle pairs. So hindi natin matatawag na supplementary ang iisa lang na angle. Magkakaroon ka lang ng supplementary angles kung meron kang dalawang angle or isang pares. And adding up the measurement of those angles is equal to 180 degrees. So let's make use of this figure. So we have here, so what angle is opposite to angle V? So that is angle L. But what angle is consecutive to angle L? So it can be angle E and angle O. Pag tinanong ka naman, ano naman yung angle na consecutive kay angle O? It can be angle L and angle V. So yung katabi niyang angle, yun yung tinatawag na consecutive. So, using this condition, two consecutive angles. So, ibig sabihin, let's make use of angle L and angle O. We have angle L plus angle O that is equal to 180 degrees. The same to angle O plus angle V, it is also equal to 180 degrees. Angle V and angle E is also equal to 180 degrees, and angle E plus angle L is equal to 180 degrees. So we have four pairs of supplementary angles in a parallelogram. So let's have the fifth property of a parallelogram, or the fifth condition that guarantees that a quadrilateral is a parallelogram. So we have the diagonals of a parallelogram bisect each other. So we have two important words here. We have the words diagonals and bisect. So what do we mean by the word diagonal? So how is a diagonal formed in a parallelogram? So a diagonal is formed in a parallelogram by connecting its two non-consecutive vertices. For example, we have L as our one vertex. So to create a diagonal, here we will connect the non-consecutive vertex, which is B. So, hindi kasunod. Kung consecutive kasunod, ang non-consecutive hindi kasunod. So, it is only one vertex that is non-consecutive to each vertices. So, we have the first diagonal as diagonal LV. How about the second diagonal? So, we have O. If we have vertex O, the only diagonal that can be drawn using vertex O is diagonal O E. So here, the diagonals are segment LV and segment OE. So LV bisects OE, which implies, for instance, the two diagonals meet at the point U here. As you can see, LV divides or bisects OE. Therefore, OU is congruent to EU. That's why you have the same tick marks on the two segments. The same with if diagonal OE bisects diagonal LV. So LU is congruent to U. We are now on the last property or condition that guarantees that a quadrilateral is a parallelogram. So it is a diagonal of a parallelogram forms two congruent triangles. So let's make use of the same parallelogram. So if we have parallelogram LV, the first diagonal LV forms two congruent triangles. And what are those? We have triangle LEV and triangle OVL. So using the other diagonal, which is diagonal OV, it will also form two congruent triangles. And ano yun? We have triangle LOE and triangle VEO. Now, let's sum it up. So to summarize, a quadrilateral is a parallelogram if it satisfies the following properties. So we have first, the opposite sides of a parallelogram are parallel to each other. In a parallelogram, any two opposite sides are congruent. Third, in a parallelogram, any two opposite angles are congruent. In a parallelogram, any two consecutive angles are supplementary. Then we have the diagonals of a parallelogram bisect each other, and a diagonal of a parallelogram forms two congruent triangles. Paano siya madaling tandaan? We all know that a parallelogram has its parts. We have the sides, the angles, and we also have the diagonals. Sa sides, ano ba yung dapat mong tandaan? So we have opposite sides. Two opposite sides are parallel. What else? Those two opposite sides are also congruent. Now, let's talk about the angles. Two opposite angles. So, kapag opposite, automatic congruent. How about if two consecutive angles? Kapag naman consecutive, it's supplementary. Now, how about the diagonals? So, the diagonals bisect each other. So, hinahati nila parehas yung isa't isa into two congruent parts. And using your imagination, if you will make a diagonal, that diagonal in a parallelogram will form two congruent triangles. So, ganun lang siya kadali para hindi mo makalimutan yung properties ng isang parallelogram. Now, let's apply the concept. So, let's have this one. So, try to make use of your pen and a sheet of paper and try answering this one. So, using the given measurements, answer the questions below each illustration. So, we have here parallelogram hope, in which side HO measures 6, OP measures 3, and side PE measures 6, and side EH measures 3. So, what condition guarantees that the figure is a parallelogram? Why? As you can see, the opposite side. So, we have HO is 6 and the opposite side is EP, which is also 6. Another one, we have HE and OP. Are they also opposite sides? Yes, they are. How about their measurements? Are they equal? Yes. So, therefore, this quadrilateral is a parallelogram. So, the condition that guarantees this a parallelogram is opposite sides of a parallelogram are congruent. So, in this illustration, HO is congruent to EP and HE is congruent to OP, wherein HO is equal to 6 and OP is equal to 3. Hence, we can say that this is a parallelogram. Let's have another one. Okay, in this figure, we have angles. Now, what condition guarantees that the figure is a parallelogram? Why? Now, take a look of the angles. So, we only have, remember that we only have opposite angles and consecutive angles. So, let's deal first with opposite angles. So, are the opposite angles congruent? Yes, they are. So, therefore, it satisfies that in a parallelogram, opposite angles are congruent. How about its consecutive angles? So, if you will add angle H and angle O, what will be its sum? Is it equal to 180 degrees? Yes, it is. So, therefore, the consecutive angles of this quadrilateral is equal to 180 degrees, which guarantees that it is a parallelogram. So, we have two properties that guarantees that this quadrilateral hope is a parallelogram. Let's have another situation here. So, here, using the given illustrations, solve for the unknown measurements by applying the properties. So, here we also have parallelogram hope. So, as you can see, we have two question mark here. We will be looking for the measurement of EP and the angle measure of angle H. So what conditions are we going to use to solve the unknowns? So first we have opposite sides. So opposite sides of a parallelogram are congruent. So if HO is opposite EP, therefore what will be the measurement of EP? And we have here angle E and angle H. So what is the relationship of angle E to angle H? So angle E is adjacent or consecutive to angle H. So we will use the word supplementary. So what angle are we going to add to 75 to make it 180? So if you will solve it systematically, we have this one. So to solve for measure of angle H, we have angle H is equal to 180 minus 75, and that is equal to 105 degrees. So here is the property in a parallelogram. Two consecutive angles are supplementary. So, kung i-check mo siya, pag inad mo, dapat yung 75 and 105, that is equal to 180 degrees. So, that's correct. So, how about the measurement of EP? So, by simply looking at the problem, you can simply say that the measurement of EP is equal to 6 since it is opposite the side HO. So in a parallelogram, opposite sides are congruent. Now let's level up. Let's try to solve the word problem below by applying the properties of a parallelogram. Write the complete solution of the problem and write your final answer in a complete mathematical sentence. A basketball court is a rectangular field. One of the lengths of the court measures x and its opposite side measures 2x minus 28. The lengths of the remaining sides are y plus 10 and 3y. Find the perimeter of the rectangular court if perimeter of a rectangle is equal to 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. Let the lengths be in meters. So here is the scoring rubrics. We have completeness of the given solution and mathematical sentence, 10 points. Illustration, 5 points. Accuracy, 5 points. And for the final answer, 5 points. Total of 25 points. So let us now solve the given problem by identifying first the given and by illustrating it. So if we're going to illustrate the problem, since a basketball court is a rectangular field, so this is how it looked like. Wow! So we have the width, the given dimensions are x. So we have the length, so we have x and 2x minus 28, and the width, the remaining sides are also opposite each other. So you have y plus 10 and 3y. So the given are lengths x and 2x minus 28 and width y plus 10 and 3y. Now let's make a mathematical sentence out of the given dimensions. So for our mathematical sentences, we have 3. We have for the lengths, we can say that x is equal to 2x minus 28. Y, opposite sides of a parallelogram are congruent, therefore we can have an equation x minus 2x minus 28, and the same with the width. They are also opposite sides, so we have y plus 10 is equal to 3y, and we only copied the formula for the perimeter, which is equal to 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. Now let's start solving our mathematical sentences. For our lengths, so let's deal with the lengths. We will only apply addition property of equality, wherein we get the additive inverse of 2x, which is equal to negative 2x, so that we can eliminate 2x on the right side of our equation. So if we add negative 2x to 2x, then that will be equal to 0, and what remains here is negative 28. Now we have negative x is equal to negative 28. Since we are dealing with lengths, there are no negative lengths. So we have to multiply both sides of the equation to negative 1 so that we are not changing the equality relationship between the two sides of the equation, and that is equal to 28 meters. How about the width? So 28 meters is our length since we have one side of the rectangular court as x. How about the width? We have y plus 10 is equal to 3y. So same thing, applying the addition property of equality. We eliminated here the y on the left side of the equation and we add it to the right side. So we have 3y plus negative y is equal to 2y. Then what remains on the left side of our equation is 10. Then we have 10 is equal to 2y. To get the value of y, we have to multiply both sides of the equation by 1/2 or divide both sides by 2. So we have y is equal to 5. Now, this is not yet our width. We have one of the widths is given as 3y, not simply y. So we need to multiply y by 3 so that we have the width. So since our y is 5, the product will be 15. So our width is equal to 15 meters. So this is now the time that we're going to compute for the perimeter. So we simply substitute the value of our length and our width. As identified, we have the length as 28, we have here, and our width 15. Kapag multiply, we have 56 and 30. Adding it, the perimeter is equal to 86 meters. So in every word problem, we should always have a conclusion so that will answer the given problem. Therefore, the basketball court has a length of 28 meters and a width of 15 meters. Its perimeter is 86 meters. Do not forget to write the unit of measurement to your final answer. So, kasi kung ilalagay mo lang na 86 na naka-indicate na meters, pwede siyang malian kasi walang unit of measurement. So, we need to be very particular of the unit of measurement. Kasi kung pwedeng nailagay mong centimeters, pag centimeters na dapat meters, mali na siya. So, that's it. So, I know that you have learned something from our lesson this morning. Before I finally end this video lesson, I'd like to ask you this question. If you will invent something, what kind of quadrilateral would it be and why? If I will make something, it would be out of a square, because a square has all the properties of other quadrilaterals such as parallelogram, rectangle, and rhombus. Meaning to say, a square is very flexible. It has its all sides equal. It has 4 interior angles which are right angles or equal to each other, and also all of its sides are parallel to its opposite sides. So being a square is being flexible.